What do we have for Scorpio? Ten of Swords, Gemini energy at the foundation of the reading, Scorpios. Scorpio, right now, you're all closing out a major karmic cycle in your life. I feel that this particular cycle, depending on how long it might be, required you to let go of a lot of things in your life that you had always known. You had to sacrifice a lot here, Scorpios. The beginning of this cycle that you're now ending was also at one point an ending in your life. But now here you are, preparing to close out another chapter that first began when you decided to accept your mission and allow the divine to guide you and align you with what they had willed for your life. But in order to close out this particular cycle, Scorpios, you don't need to sacrifice anything except for one thing, your idea of what the outcome should look like. The divine is asking you for once in your life, Scorpio, to lead yourself with less logic and more heart-centered moves. The divine is asking you to have complete faith and hope and trust that they've got your back and they are going to make sure that you land on your feet in this next cycle of your life, Scorpio. Now that sounds like a really big ask, and being a Scorpio, oh boy, I know how that feels. But this new cycle that you're entering into now, Scorpio, I feel that there's a lot of things that are going to be made available to you that you've since let go of. Maybe there were things you had to sacrifice with that previous cycle. And the divine truly feels that you're ready to experience some new energies in your life once again because you're ready for it. Now, what I'm picking up here is nothing short of what it means to become a fully transformed, awakened Scorpio, somebody who faces their own shadow, their own demons, and heals and defeats them. Somebody who has done all the hard work and risen out of their own ashes, completely refined and seemingly carved by God's own hands. You know, Scorpios, being that you are the ruler of the 8th house of death and rebirth, essentially transformation, right? That phoenix rising from those ashes, you would think that you would have that down to a science that, must be easy then, right? No. See, this is a big misconception here. Just because you're the ruler of a particular house, right, the 8th house of death and rebirth and transformation, doesn't mean that you are the master of that. You have the potential to be the master of that, right? It means that the biggest hurdle that you will ever have to get over in your life is transforming yourself and becoming that master. I'm picking up on a lot of Scorpios here who have done just that, mastered the transformation process. You know, this process for Scorpios, it takes years. This is not something you do overnight. Most Scorpios will start off down the path and they'll give up. Others will start off down the path, holding on to an outcome of how long they think it should take, only to be let down. And then maybe they'll give up, thinking that what's the use anyway? But then there's those elite few, which I feel represent a lot of you out in the collective that I'm reading for at this moment, that actually become very comfortable in that space. You start to really fall in love with the person that you've become. You start to fall in love with the divine source, God. You start to perceive your life in a completely different way than you once did. You start to discover a vast ocean of possibilities that have since opened up to you because you kept pushing forward. A lot of you got to the point where you decided you could stay there forever. In fact, you'd prefer it. And then all of a sudden, the divine comes knocking, Scorpio, and says, Scorpio, it's time. It's time to graduate. We need you in other spaces now. We have completely healed you. You've transformed. Amazing job, Scorpio. You're part of a very small percentage of people who actually stick it out. So usually during this period of time, you say, well, I think I'm okay. I think I'd like to just stay here. The divine says to you, well, Scorpio, that you can't do that. You'd be relinquishing your mission if you did that. Much to your surprise, because you thought that by staying there, you would actually be doing something that was in alignment with your highest good. You start to realize that you now have to face a lot of the fears that you have since buried from the past. The divine truly believes that you are ready to bring some of these energies back into your life. Now, obviously, this is going to represent different things for all of you. I'm not telling any of you to go running back to people. This is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is that there are certain things in your life you had to sacrifice because you needed to go through that fire, so to speak, Scorpio, to refine you and turn you into the person you are now. Where the divine is elevating you to. You are going to have some energies made available to you again, but this time around, you are going to approach them with greater discernment, a newer, transformed version of yourself. The most basic example that I can give all of you is to those of you Scorpios out there that have been single for a very long time while you've been going through the awakening process. First, it was lonely, and then you got used to it, and then you decided, hey, you know what? I could just stay like this forever. Who wants to deal with somebody else's BS, right? But then the divine says, hey, Scorpio, all this work you've been doing on yourself, it was for a very specific reason. And now it's time for us to align you with an opportunity you were being prepared for this entire time. Now, whether or not that's a soulmate connection, an opportunity in your career, something on your life path, it's going to be different for each and every one of you. So use your better discernment and place that as it fits. But this is the general energy that I'm picking up inside the Scorpio collective right now. And I have the Eight of Wands on the bottom of the deck. So this is all related to movement. And this is Sag energy. Sag rules the 9th house. So it's the house right after you, Scorpio. So it makes sense that we'd be seeing that Eight of Wands because you're essentially coming back out into the world after going through this kind of trial by fire. It's like this transformation process initially was a kind of ordeal. The divine wanted to test you to see how well you performed under the transformation process. But now you've become too comfortable in that space. See, this is what this is all about. Now that's the Scorpio energy. Can't become too comfortable in one space. The divine needs to use you to experience more energies, to gather more wisdom. And being that you're a fixed energy, once you've gone through the transformation process, one of the hardest things for you to do is to leave it behind. It's almost like you get to a point, Scorpio, where you like it. It's like a soldier going through boot camp and they ask if they could do it again, right? No one does that. Boot camp is hell, but not you, Scorpio. And this really speaks about how you're able to travel between realms, right? It's like you can go between the dark and the light, and you can make friends with both sides. You are the ruler of this special place that no other zodiac sign dare even think about treading. You are the ruler of the in-between, Scorpio, and that's where you like to stay. But you're needed now in other spaces. What do we have? The sacral, please? Perfect. The World. There really isn't a better card to follow everything that I just channeled through for all of you than the World card. The World card is a fixed energy. It represents all 4 fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. But this is showing us very clearly, following this Ten of Swords, that there is very much an ending, a completion, and a new beginning all underway. But see how we're looking at you like we're a fly on the wall, right? You haven't quite arrived yet, but you're preparing to. I feel like this reading right now is a kind of briefing. We're preparing you for the next leg of your mission. You're being called to start integrating into new spaces, Scorpios. I'm hearing something about a lot of you being positioned as different kinds of leaders, just something where you are able to influence and help others. And I feel a lot of that speaks about what you've left behind, right, in that previous cycle. It's like you are now on the top of the wheel. You are now the one in power. You are now the one that calls the shots. You are now the one that people come to when they need help, however that shows up for you. It could be that you've done so much work on yourself, you've built yourself up into this new stabilized version of yourself, Scorpio, and you're in a position to where you're able to give back. Okay, and I'm hearing for those of you Scorpios out there that may be listening to this, that are just now starting on this path, this is what you can look forward to, okay? But this is a complete shifting of your circumstances is what I'm getting here. It's like in the past you were on this timeline where you may have had to rely on other people, which makes sense because the 8th house represents other people's money as well. So that's an area of your life that you need to master. Finances, that's always a big one for Scorpios. But when you do master that, you are placed in these positions of power because the divine wants you to know what it feels like on each side of the coin, right? Once an individual that needed healing, now an individual that can heal. Yeah, Scorpio, you fought tooth and nail for this new beginning here. You've put a lot of work into your healing. But it's time for you to make this decision. You have your free will, but life is waiting for you now, Scorpio. It's time for what's next. What do we have, the solar plexus? Perfect. The Magician, Gemini, Virgo energy at the solar plexus. And what a card to follow what I said in regards to you being put in this position of power, right? To where you help others. It's like you've taken everything you've learned and you've become this magician. All of this had to happen so you would find these gifts, find this side of yourself that was lying dormant in this previous karmic cycle. But now, very clear, you're being called to share this with the world. Whatever this is, big or small, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the divine is asking you to do it, and it's a part of your mission, right? Letting go of that outcome. You know, living inside the matrix, inside this material density, we connect everything to the outcome of things. It's just the way this world is programmed. Well, if I go down this path, then, you know, what will I gain from that, right? There's nothing really wrong with this, but when it comes to what the divine wills for your life, you must let go of the outcome, okay? Because it requires faith. It requires trust. That faith, that trust that you have in the higher power is what allows you to actually step into this power. It's like it charges it up. You are so confident with your relationship to Source that you know you will come out on top. And then I have the High Priestess and the Hermit on the bottom of the deck. Okay, so the High Priestess and the Hermit are the two strongest cards that speak about your connection to Source. You're somebody who goes inward for all of your guidance outwardly. You use your intuition to guide you. Both of those cards represent you being completely detached from any sort of outcome here. This move requires your spiritual eyes, Scorpios, not your scorpionic calculator. And again, I know how hard it is to hear that, because hearing those words come out of my mouth do not sit well with me, being a Scorpio. What do we have at the heart for Scorpio? Oh, Five of Pentacles at the heart. Taurus energy. Yeah, unbelievable. And there it is. There's a part of you, Scorpio, that you're being asked to let go of now. It's this wounded inner child that I think a lot of you have been telling yourself was healed, but though it may seem that way, the Band-Aid hasn't been ripped off yet. That comes with you moving on from this cycle. You finally say goodbye to this energy here. See, Scorpios will go through this transformation process, and they build these high walls around them that are constructed of all of the pain and hurt from their past, and they stay like that. But then the divine comes through and says, hey, Scorpio, we're going to knock these walls down now, and we're going to flood you with all of these new energies. Because though you may have healed all of this, this is the requirement to finally rid your auric field of these energies and step into the new timeline. You know, again, I use this example because everybody understands it. Could be somebody who's completely closed themselves off to love because they were hurt so many times. And of course, that is very representative of the Scorpio energy. But this whole time while you were healing, it's like the divine has been working on somebody else just for you. Or maybe if this has to do with a passion or some sort of career path, the divine has been preparing you, maybe without you even knowing it, and behind the scenes arranging things, carving out a path custom made just for you. You just don't know, Scorpio. But what I can tell you is when you make yourself available to this kind of soul healing, when you accept your mission from the divine, like clearly you all have, and you step into the space to transform yourself, the one thing that a lot of you don't realize is when you come out of that place, there's not much that won't be made available to you because of your dedication and the hard work you have put in. And then I have the Four of Cups on the bottom of the deck, Cancer energy. right? So it's like here you are inside this energy where you've been staying, and now the divine's trying to bring new energy into your life. And you're like, I don't know, I'm good here. I just kind of want to stay here, right? It really is the energy of becoming the hermit and just wanting to stay the hermit. What do we have at the throat, please? 9 of Wands. Wow. Sag energy at the throat. So as you can see here, it's like you've built this perimeter, right? Let's just say that wall, right? That was made of all the pain and hurt. But then we have this wolf breaking through. And then here you are kind of clenching your fists, getting ready to face off with this wolf. And I really feel that that speaks about this energy that I'm picking up on, right? You have this idea of what love is based on the experiences of your past. But because you found this newfound sense of love within yourself, the divine wants to reflect that back to you in the face of another. Again, it doesn't have to be love. That's just the example. But what you're being faced with here, Scorpio, is something that I feel like you figured you could just ignore, not have to deal with it again. I also wrote down 333 in my notes for this particular reading. Speaks about you really pursuing the unknown. I just heard the divine has been preparing you this entire time and you didn't even know it. And if you did know it, you forgot because of the long passage of time. You need to have faith here, Scorpio. The divine doesn't want you to be so defensive in regards to this new beginning. I truly feel like they have your back. Again, you should be able to measure your own karma based on what your path looks like, Scorpio, and the amount of work that you've put into yourself. This is something I was thinking about recently, right? When opportunities come into your life and you're worried, you're concerned, you're scared, is this going to work out for me or is this going to blow up in my face? Think about your path and pull out your Scorpio calculator and think about on how you've been moving. This is where you want to be more logical, right? Now, an unawakened Scorpio, somebody who's still in their shadow, will lie to themselves, right? Make up excuses that the way they've been moving is in alignment with their highest good. But what you realize is once you go through the awakening process, you were actually just lying to yourself. So with all that said, Scorpio, I truly believe that if you can calculate that, that should be a good barometer by which you can measure the success of this opportunity that is coming your way. What do we have at the third eye? Page of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sag energy at the third eye. Scorpio, there's a big new opportunity here for you, but it's going to require for you to get uncomfortable, okay? This isn't going to last. It's just that initial kind of feeling that you have to go through, right? It's like being so used to a certain routine or a certain way of doing things, and now you have to implement something else in your schedule or maybe even somebody else. And rather than thinking about all the positive things that may come with that, you start thinking about all the negative sides of things. That's okay. It's a natural emotion to feel because you just want things to run smoothly and work out. But I also feel that the divine really needs to show you what it's like to experience fun, love, expansion, when it's based on the positive karma that you have accumulated on your path in this previous cycle. You're essentially aligning yourself to receive a divine kind of abundance is what I'm hearing, Scorpios, that a lot of you may not even know is waiting for you. If anything, it's just been the subject of fantasy. It's been in your vision, right? And if you've been listening to my readings for an extended period of time, you would know that those visions are true heart's desires, and if you hold on to them long enough and you move right, they actually become a part of your reality. And this is precisely what I'm getting here, Scorpio. You've been manifesting something this entire time unconsciously. See, unconscious manifestations are a real thing. There's the conscious manifestations, which we're aware of, but we're always manifesting unconsciously as well. What a concept. It's those unconscious manifestations which are sort of in a kind of dream space still. They're those things that we tell ourselves maybe aren't so attainable. But then when you're moving right, like we're picking up here, Scorpio, you position yourself to allow the divine to show you what a real miracle is as a thank you for all of the work that you've put into yourself, which has a direct impact on the collective at large. What do we have at the crown, please? Perfect justice at the crown, Libra energy, cause and effect, Scorpio. And this justice energy has been felt all the way through all of this, because now we can see that the scales are tipping in your favor. There's a huge win here for you, and it's all based on your karmic currency. You know, Scorpios, there's many different layers, many different events and situations that you're all dealing with out there, but something else I've been picking up inside the Scorpio collective is based on the way you've been moving in the face of adversity. You've been allowing the divine to take care of it for you. Not a lot of people know, but this is one of the best things you can do for yourself. It's just get out of the way. Keep pushing forward. Allow the divine to work with those that may come against you the way that they see fit to try and get those people back on their path. Like we channeled through earlier on in the reading, you are the tower. You bring massive change into people's lives just by entering it. The divine uses you to pull people out of the darkness by their treatment towards you. You are walking, talking karma. And if this Page of Wands doesn't depict that perfectly, I don't know what does. You know, Scorpios, when they're in their shadow, they don't do that, you know. I was obviously once in my shadow, and my reaction to people that would create issues to me on my path was less than favorable. All it did was keep me stuck. All it did was make things worse. But one of the biggest lessons I have personally learned on my path is that it's none of my business what somebody else thinks or says about me. And when you become so confident on the path you're walking, this becomes easier and easier to do. I surprise myself all the time. You know, I hear that little voice, right? Aren't you going to react? Aren't you going to say something back? And I don't. Because I know if I do, I'd only be stinging myself with my own tail. Because people can't handle it. People can't handle a Scorpio dishing back to them what they projected onto the Scorpio. You just about take people out, and then you end up in hot water, or you're taken off your path, or you've just stagnated yourself. What do we have at the foundation, please? Wheel of Fortune. Sag energy at the foundation of the reading. There's a lot of energies that are external to you, Scorpio, that don't want to see you have this new beginning, that don't want to see you step into this new season of your life. Simply put, Scorpio, there's an energy here that doesn't want to see you be happy. Sadly, I feel for a lot of you, this is going to be attached to family members and friends, people that you let go on the previous cycle. These people don't wish you well because they feel slighted by you and your transformation. That's very common, something that you just have to come to terms with. And it's not one of these energies where you're showing off, Scorpio, because I don't get that from you. I feel like a lot of you have been really humble with what you've managed to build for yourself, what you've managed to acquire spiritually. See, when your faith is so strong and you're so confident with where you're at, a lot of that stuff doesn't really matter. You get less and less satisfaction from trying to impress people that aren't even in your life. It's real low vibrational as well, right? It also suggests a kind of person who tries to paint a picture of what they would like other people to think their life looks like. And I think this is also something you've become very aware of. So you don't do it. And that's good, Scorpio. Keep moving like this. The more you move in this kind of energy, the more you have made available to you. It's between you and the divine, you and yours, right? Silent moves, Scorpios, are always the best moves. What do we have at the sacral, please? Eight of Swords, Gemini energy, folklore at the sacral. Scorpio, a lot of you have been in a kind of holding cell without even knowing it, right? This Eight of Swords is speaking about you being released from a kind of timeline where you've been going through your awakening process. It's like you're being liberated, and you don't even really understand that you were in a kind of holding space or a temporary space until you're released back out into the universe, so to speak. It's like the universe picks you up, puts you on a new space, puts you through the awakening process, right? It's a kind of timeout, so to speak. You completely rebuild your life, and then the divine's like, okay, you ready, Scorpio? We got to move on to the next timeline. And you're like, well, I thought I was just going to stay here. And they're like, no, that's a temporary space. You're not supposed to stay there. This is what I'm getting with this Eight of Swords underneath this world. I just heard, just when you think you had everything you needed, Scorpio, the divine comes through and says, wait till you get a load of what we got for you on this new timeline. I'm also hearing that a lot of you prayed for something, could have even been recently. And even though this was already coming your way, this prayer that you sent out, and now you actually seeing this thing coming through, has you thinking that you sent out this prayer and then the divine answered. Yes and no. The prayer was already on its way to you. The divine knew that you were going to pray for it. They just timed it perfectly because you getting this thing on the backside of a prayer reignites your faith to be able to take the leap of faith to begin with. See how God and the divine works? It's absolutely brilliant forms of divine guidance. It's like the divine is constantly trying to play a little game with us, trick us to make decisions that are in alignment with our highest good, and then surprise us on the other side. The more you start to understand this and the more you start to play this game with the universe, the more you'll be given access to. Getting in the mindset of playing this kind of game with the creator, so to speak, Scorpios, I feel is the only way to live. What do we have? The solar plexus, please. The devil, Moloch. And look who decided to show up to the party, Scorpio. The devil. I just heard, with every awakening, Scorpio, you release another shackle. You know, the awakening process is us waking up to the true reality of who we are and what we came here to do. Enough of it, at least, to begin to start making moves. But there's also an understanding that because we live in this material world, that we're born into a kind of bondage, right? This is very much the devil's density. Now, the more we awaken, the more we are able to release ourselves from that bondage. But this is done in phases. This is done in stages. And this is only confirming what we picked up here, because the divine tearing down those walls, right? And flooding you with new energy to help you transform even further is you actually releasing fear. Fear, as we know, is a byproduct of the devil. It's like, here he is right here, waving to you, right? He's waving by. See you, Scorpio. Kudos for breaking free. You know, for a lot of you, you could have gone into a state of solitude and it turned into isolation, right? These are two very different things. Isolation can become dangerous. Solitude is just supposed to be a space that you go into to reignite that connection, or to strengthen that connection, rather, with Source, with God, with the divine. It's an energy of soul searching, but it's very easy to stay there for too long, right? Like we picked up, because it becomes so comfortable. What do we have at the heart, please? Wow. 5 of Pentacles stacked with 5 of Pentacles. Yeah, I'm hearing that excessive isolation leads to hopelessness. For a lot of you, the closure of this particular cycle is going to finally allow you to let go of some sort of trauma from the past, Scorpio. And I feel that it's surrounding some sort of lack mindset. Okay, I just heard you thinking you're not good enough for something or for somebody. You know, for some of you, it could be that you don't think that you're deserving of love, or that you're not lovable, right? But again, that can be a byproduct of too much isolation, right? And then we have Elamia, Queen of Wands, Divine Power. Literally the opposite of all that energy, okay? Queen of Wands is one of the most beautiful cards in the tarot. It's a very confident, vibrant, charming energy, okay? And see how it almost looks like she's in a little cocoon there, right? It's like here you are coming back out into the world. I just heard breaking free of the structures of your own mind that you've built up inside a cocoon. Wow, I didn't even have... that just came out of my mouth so fast. They didn't even want me to think about that. It's like you're coming out as the Queen of Wands and the Magician, right? What do we have at the throat, please? Boom. Unbelievable. The Hierophant, Haziel, the merciful God, divine forgiveness, obtains friendship and favors of the great, secures promises. So we have the devil and we have God and all your spirit guides right on either side of this Queen of Wands and this Five of Pentacles, right? So it's like you leave that Five of Pentacles with the devil, right? You leave that lack sort of mindset with the devil, right? The fear, right? That's what Five of Pentacles represents, fear. And you now step into this Queen of Wands energy, which the divine has just handed to you, right? Secures promises. This is a promise from God, Scorpios. This has been a subconscious manifestation that has been worked on behind the scenes without you even knowing it. Right there, perfect pattern. Devil, God. What do we have at the third eye, please? Boom. Eight of Wands. The great and exalted God, grandeur, makes one passionate toward God, right? So I mentioned earlier on in the reading that there's this need for faith, right? There's this need for you to trust that the divine has your back. There's this great need to release fear. Fear cannot exist where faith floods through, Scorpios. The Eight of Wands is speaking about this massive change unfolding in your life very quickly as well. It's just a matter of you really taking the first step here, or again, just trusting. All right, what do we have to close this out for Scorpio, please? Ah, perfect. Ace of Swords, Yamabel. God above all names elevated. Affinity and friendship, obtain the friendship of anyone. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy. So the Ace of Swords is an energy of victory. It's an energy of raw power, Scorpios. So this has shown us very clearly as we close out this reading that all that's required of you right now to start this passionate new beginning, whatever that represents for you, is your faith. That's all you need. And the divine will take care of the rest. And remember, Scorpios, you know exactly what your karmic currency is. So there's no reason that you cannot use that as a barometer to measure what this may look like for all of you out there. Scorpios, this is the message I have available to all of you, should you choose to accept. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you would like a personal reading, you can find all of my contact details in the description below this video. And thank you for your donation, Scorpios. Take care.